All praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham Ha Rakah Quadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders which rule great millstone while, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure into the end. Shalom wa abab babal. Alright, so I saw this in the news. Brain implant startup backed by Bezos and Gates is testing mind-controlled computing on humans. All right, so this is a fact. All right, because you got to remember Neuralink. Neuralink is being pushed in 2023 also on humans, which is a implantable device that they want to put inside your brain. Okay, they got it where they can put it anywhere in your body, in your hand or in your forehead, which is fulfilling Revelation 13. Okay, so we're in that time of this devil bringing down great wrath because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. The devil is the so-called white man, the red devil the Bible speaks of. Revelation 13 verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark, the charagma, the implantable microchip. It says, a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Which you got to have this implant to have his name, to have his number, to have that mark, all right, is to allow the devil to implant a microchip inside your body. Which, who's doing this? Bezos and Gates, supported by who? Who's funding this? Neuralink, which is Musk, all right? And then who's supporting him? Who's paying him? You see, it all goes back to the so-called white race. The devil the Bible speaks of is the so-called white man, all right? And this is an abomination. This is an abomination. And it's a condemnation to any Israelite that takes it. The Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians which have been scattered throughout the world in slavery. And if you take it, you're going to have to face that lake of fire, which is America being turned into a lake of fire by nuclear missiles at the return of Yahushua. Revelation 14, verse 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, right? The beast is the so-called white race, which they have a so-called white. America is the horde that rides the beast, which is a so-called white organization. Okay, so-called white. I say so-called because they're not white. They are red, all right, but they control the world using America and the European Union, which they even have the other nations, the other heathen, under them through the UN. So they got the world in a confederacy to so-called white supremacy. Okay? So that's the beast, and his image is the system which they push out to the public, which they're going to say that you have to have a device put in your body the size of a grain of rice so that you could buy and sell. It says, if any man worship the beast and his image is the system, and receive his mark, the mark is the actual technology they want to implant inside your body, in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, which is poured out without mixture, into the cup of his indignation. The cup of his indignation is America, all right? And this destruction was created for the devil, the so-called white man, and his angels, all right, his military. But because you got Jake, the Israelite, all right, whether they know they're Israelite or not, they're in bed with the so-called white man. Whether they're in his military, they're in his prison system, they're in his workforce, all right? They're all part of the system. That's what they were explaining in the movie Matrix. There's a lot of people still plugged into the system. All right? They don't want to see the light. They love the darkness. They love the wickedness that they could commit with the so-called white man in power. But the so-called white man is losing power and is in fact going to be replaced. All right? The earth is coming under new management. That's what this is a sign of, because it says the wicked, that they forfeit their throne through wickedness. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. This is an unrighteous decree. You're not supposed to be sticking nothing in nobody's body. All right? So this is a sign that we are at the very end. All right? And them that take it, they're going to be destroyed, all right, without mercy. All right? It's going to be a horrible, horrible way to die. It says, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. All right. Now, I want to also add that it's prophesied that you will become ill from this device being put inside your body, which they have reported on it, and I have it here. This is from www.livemint.com. It says the side effects of Neuralink. All right, what are the controversies around Neuralink? Physicians Committee of Responsible Medicine cited the experiments resulted in chronic infections, seizures, paralysis, internal bleeding, and declining psychological health before who were killed, which they did it on monkeys. All right, and they actually start hemorrhaging, and they were bleeding from sores in their body, just like the Bible says they will. It says in Revelation 16, verse 2, and the first went and poured out his vials. So the angels that have the vials of the wrath of Almighty Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, it says, and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. See? So you're not just going to die in a lake of fire, but you're going to be sick from this device. This device is going to make you very, very sick, and you're going to be tormented all the way up to your death. And in death, you're going to be tormented. The Lord's going to destroy your flesh with fire and destroy your mind, because he's pretty much going to show you what you did was wrong. All right? So don't fear him that could kill the body, because this devil, the so-called white man, he's going to make it to where he's pretty much going to threaten us with death if we don't take this device. Revelation 13, verse 7, and it was given unto him, to the so-called white race, to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. So talking about the ruling class of the so-called white race, all right, it's in his heart to make war with the saints, the Israelites, all right? And power was given to him, given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. So he has a new world order, and that new world order is that you're going to have something implanted inside your body to be part of this beast system, which is an abomination, which will be your condemnation, and you will die by the lake of fire. All right? And it says here that he makes war with the saints. How does he do that? By putting this draconian law in effect that everybody has to be microchipped to buy and sell. All right? Which, even if he didn't want to do it, he still has to do it. Because there's no free will. It's all preordained. It's all scripted. All right? And Esau, he is one day going to make this thing mandatory for everybody worldwide, that you got to have a device implanted in your body the size of a grain of rice, a microchip, an implantable microchip, which they're going to make mandatory for buying and selling. All right, and eventually he's going to pretty much put a death sentence on it. That's why it's draconian law. He speaks like a lamb with two horns, but then, so he has two horns like a lamb. It's in this chapter. It says in Revelation 13:11, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, talking about America, and he had two horns like a lamb. That lamb is because they act like they're trying to help you and do something good for you. Like this article, when you read on about it, it says that they're trying to transform daily life for the people with, it says right here, transform, okay? So it says, at a brain interface startup called Synchron, are working on technology designed to transform daily life for people with paralysis. So that looks like they're trying to be a savior, but it tells you the devil transforms himself into an angel of light. All right, he has a smooth words, but in his heart is war. Okay, so once again, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, America being created, and he had two horns like a lamb. So the Republican and the Democrat, and once again, when they speak as a lamb, it's mean, oh, we're doing it for the sake of the people. All right, they act like they're a servant when in fact they're tyrants. It says, and he spake as a dragon. So these politicians are going to agree to a system, a draconian system, all right, where they're going to actually have their citizens put to death. This is why you got Trump in the news talking about bringing the guillotine back, all right, and years ago they bought a bunch of guillotines, all right, so it's a plan that's been in the work for generations, all right. The so-called white man is the red devil the Bible speaks of, all right, and he's going to make this device mandatory, and if you don't accept it, he's going to pretty much put you to death, all right. It says in verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and that's what you see. You have this image of the beast come into life, all right. This system, it says, and the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Okay? So it's going to collect all the information about your life. That's the purpose of it. They want to know where you're at, who you're with, what you're talking about, what you're doing, what you plan on doing, and they want to control you. Because you got to remember, this here, it says mind controlled. All right? They act like it's controlling computers, but in fact, the computer will control you. All right? Remember, I showed you that in this article. It says here, all right, the experiments resulted in chronic infections, seizures, paralysis, internal bleeding, and declining psychological health. All right? Because you're being controlled. It's an unnatural thing, all right, for you to have this device in your body controlling you when you were created, all right, by a higher power. And Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is the lowest existence of life. So if you give him control over your life, just like iron rusteth and is destroyed, so will you be. He's going to destroy you, all right? If you're not destroyed by the illnesses or by the famine or by the sword, the nuclear destruction that's coming for Esau will take your life also. It says in Revelation 13, verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. See, so they're going to kill the ones that reject this device. But death is gain in this situation. It's better to die than to actually accept this bullshit. All right? So I wanted to push this here and see what it goes into. Unlocking the natural highways of the brain. See, they act like they're doing you something good, but in fact, they're destroying. Okay, because this is an abomination to have an implant inside your head. Okay, because the ways of the wicked is an abomination. All right. All right. So I'm going to get the law on these abominations, and any of these abominations you should not do. All right. Which this whole government in this country, this world promotes these abominations. All right. Leviticus 18 verse 20. Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife to defile thyself with her. So adultery is a man sleeping with his neighbor's wife. All right, because a man is allowed to have multiple women, but a man is not allowed to have a married woman. All right, even an engaged woman. But in this wicked society, all right, they promote adultery. That's an abomination. For a woman to have multiple men, all right, that's an abomination. Women are supposed to have one husband, and that husband is supposed to be the one that took their virginity. All right. Verse 21. And thou shalt not lie. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy power. I am Yahweh, which they do in America and throughout the world under the wicked, right? They sacrifice children, all right, and this is pertaining to the Israelites, all right? They commit abortion, right? They push their kids into the ways of the wicked, being homosexuals or transgender, all right? And they profane the name of Yahweh, right? Because they say that they believe in God and they're doing this, thinking that they're being good people, you know? So they profane the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, they profane it, being Israelites and committing abominations. All right, because he put his name upon us. That's what you got to remember. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is an abomination. Homosexuality. This is spiritually Egypt and spiritual Sodom. Why? Because they promote homosexuality. In fact, they promote it with pedophilia. All right. It says in verse 23, neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith, neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down. There too it is confusion. Here's from Quora.com. Why is it that infidelity, adultery, is so common in the USA? See? And I'm talking about women, sleeping with multiple men. Whether she's married to one, or a man came on to her. But that's what adultery is, where a man sleeps with a married woman, all right? Or a man's concubine. That's adultery. Okay, a man is allowed to have multiple women, but you're not supposed to touch your neighbor's wife. You're not supposed to be with no married woman. And that's a major problem in America, which they push these vibrations out into the world. Man, there's so much evidence of this going on. Look at Asia. Asia was, the Asian women were seen as exotic because they seemed like they were untouchable, right? Because they were so-called traditional. But now you got them on, TikTok, on YouTube, shaking their booties just like a so-called white girl in America, right? In their country, because of the wickedness corrupting the earth of the so-called white man, the devil. He's corrupted the world with their wickedness, all right? See right here, I put U.S. promote abortion, and right away it pulls up the leadership of America, which is the White House, with President Biden, which he signed an executive order protecting access to reproductive health care services, which that shows you that they promote, all right, the sacrifice of children to Molech, all right, because they're all doing this in the name of so-called white power, okay? Molech, also spelled Molech, a Canaanite, which were Hamites, the Africans, deity associated in the biblical sources with the practice of child sacrifice. Okay? And they still do this through abortion. All right? And in fact, they're going to make it mandatory that you have your child microchipped, which is a death sentence. And so you would be sacrificing your child, just like they were making it mandatory that you have your child juiced up. You know, when all this shit was starting off, you know, with their lockdowns and everything, they said the kids had to be juiced up to go back to school. And you know how many parents ran to get juiced up and get their kids juiced up? So that shows you that this is still a custom in America. They act like they're a Christian nation, but in fact, they're a pagan, they're a heathen nation. They're Edomites, the worst kind of heathen there is. All right, the so-called Caucasians, they're the scum of the earth, man. And they're in power. That's why the earth is in the state that it's in. See, Molech, right? I put Molech symbols. And look, number one symbol right there in the middle, who uses that? The so-called white man. All right? Their city, Washington, D.C., is built in this shape. All right? So serving the so-called white man, worshiping the so-called white man, you're worshiping Molech. You're worshiping those demons that the Hamites worship, because the Hamites, all right, which were Egyptians, the Canaanites, Egypt was put on, that's an Edomite word, put upon that land. The original people there are in South Sudan, which are Mizraim. But they were doing the same thing, and Esau came in as Greeks and Romans, and they carried on the tradition of the Hamites, of the Assyrians, of all these other nations before them. Okay? Because what are they? They still culture. They don't have their own culture. They're saltless. They're just harbingers of death. The so-called white man is. So his culture is built up by stealing all kinds of different cultures. Okay, that's why in America you got a Chinatown, you got like a little Hamite area, a little African area, right? You got a Mexican area. Because Esau has no culture. The so-called white man has nothing to offer but death and destruction. So he brings in culture from other places, right? Just like the obelisk. The obelisk is a symbol. See right here, built in the shape of an Egyptian obelisk, invoking the timelessness of ancient civilizations. The Washington Monument in America embodies the awe, respect, and gratitude the nation felt for its most essential founding father, right? Because where did he get his ideas from? His Freemason ideas. Freemasons went back to Hamites, all right? So that's what Esau does. He takes the gods of the past and brings them to the present time and just puts it in a different way. You know, instead of throwing your baby inside of a fire or a iron cow to watch it burn, all right, you take your ass to the abortion clinic and they stick a hook up in your ass and pull your baby out limb by limb. It's the same thing, all right? So sacrificing your kids to Molech, having the let me get another one. Okay, so here's another symbol of Molech, is your 6-point star. Okay, which you have on your Walmarts, right? Which is a symbol for the Amalek, the counterfeits, okay, which ruled the world. And look what happened to Kanye West when he said it. that the Jewish people rule the world. All right, which he wasn't lying. Every president of the United States, including Obama, was either a Jew or tied to the Jews. Jewish, ish. They wish they were Jews. The real Jew are the American Negro. The Hebrew Israelites are the American Negro, the Negroes of the Caribbeans, the Hispanics, the Latinos of North and Central and South America, including the Caribbean islands. They've been scattered throughout the world in slavery. The so-called Negroid and indigenous people that have been scattered in slavery, those are the real Hebrew Israelites, not the Edomites that say they are with the small hats and big noses that like to suck the foreskin off of circumcised boys. All right? The pedophilia in this place goes back to that satanic worship, which starts with the so-called white man. Look at the president of the United States. He's a well-known pedophile, right? In California, they just released a whole bunch of pedophiles back to the street, making pedophilia illegal, right? See that 6-point star? Let me show you. You see that 6-point star? That's a sign of Molech. All right? And guess whose flag that is? All right? And number one ally of them is America. All right? And once again, every president that you've had has been associated to these people. All right? Because the world is controlled by the wicked. Okay? So then in Leviticus 18 verse 23, neither shall thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith, neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. All right, which America, they have states that legalize bestiality. Okay? They have 4 states that have legalized bestiality. Hawaii, New Mexico, West Virginia, which, these are Edomite actual states, and Wyoming, okay, which Edomites practice bestiality, okay? So the so-called white man promotes bestiality as well as adultery, right? He promotes worship of false gods, sacrifices, right? Human sacrifices. So this whole system is built on committing abominations. All right? It says, we got that one. It is confusion. So they push bestiality, right? So I read from 20, right? They commit adultery. They push for women to be whores and men to be homosexuals, just like in verse 22. That's an abomination. And verse 21, right? They sacrificed the children to Molech. All right? 23, they promote bestiality. 24, it says, defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. Which the heathen, the Edomites, all right, the wicked, they weakened the heathen nations. Let's see. Isaiah. That's how they rule. They keep the other nations weak. Isaiah. Let's go to Revelation 6 first. Revelation 6. That's verse 4. 6 and verse 4. It says, and there went out another horse. That horse is a symbol of power. Power was given to this red devil, the so-called white man. That was red, Edom. And power was given to him, that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. So that's how they weaken the nations. They take peace from the earth. All right, they'll go into your land with peaceful talk, but then they'll take away your freedoms, take away your resources, take away your righteousness, take away your women, take your children, and convert them into bestiality, homosexuality, whores, right? Just a bunch of confusion. It says, and that they should kill one another, which they're murderers, they kill each other. World War I, World War II, World War III is going to be, all right? And that's what they teach the people when they go into that land. They'll teach you wicked ways to kill your brothers. Look at the gangs of America. That's a product of the U.S. government with their so-called white supremacy, all right? It says, and there was given unto him a great sword, which is that nuclear missile that's going to fall upon his own head. All right? So it says in Leviticus 18, verse 24, which this is the law, defile not ye yourselves in any of these things. In what things? The abominations of the heathen. For in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you, which Esau takes the peace away from the earth, and eventually he's going to take his own strength away. Isaiah 14. It says, oh, yep, right here. Verse 10, Isaiah 14:10. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Right? How are these other nations weak when America's ruling over them? They're the greatest nation in the world. Well, it's because they stole everything. They stole the people that they enslaved. They enslaved the people on this land. They stole the land. They stole the resources. They stole the resources from other lands, right? So now all these nations are weak. And they're looking at Esau, the fat one, right? Saying, hey, are you now become weak like we? Their house is divided, right? It says, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Let me jump up. It says in Isaiah 14, verse 5, Yahweh had broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. So Esau is divided. They're no longer unified, all right? They're confederate, but it's limited because the Lord's going to control the hearts of men like he does, and he's going to turn them against each other. He who smote the people in wrath, which is Esau, the wicked, with a continual stroke, he don't let up. He don't let you just live. You know, he fucking always in your business. He's always trying to take from you, take your money, take your resources, take your life, right? This devil don't leave you alone. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. So now that they see the so-called white man going down, all the what they call weaker nations are become stronger, right? And now they're saying, let's get this motherfucker. Let's just end this bitch, right? America, which the European Union is going to step away from you and actually join them in attacking America. All right? That's the prophecy. It says, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. See, the devil, the so-called white man, that's why there's no peace on earth. That's why when the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, starting with the elect that served Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai all the way up to the end, all right, they're going to be put in power, and the earth is going to prosper. The people that are allowed to remain are going to prosper because the wicked are took out of power. The so-called white man, the devil, man, he destroys everything. He don't just destroy people. He destroys the earth. Look what he's doing with the poisons that he's spreading on this earth. Look at the air. He chemtrails the air. Look at the fish. They're beaching themselves because the devil, the so-called white man, the wicked are empowered, but not for long. All right? Not for long. Because they're committing all these abominations and forcing Israelites to do it by their draconian law, and they're going to actually pay for it. All right? They're going to actually receive ill for their reward. It says, verse 25, and the land is defiled, the earth is defiled. That's why it has to be hit with fire. All right? America, which is going to remain a desert, is never going to come back again. But Israel is going to be burnt with fire to be cleansed. It says, therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it. So he's going to judge the wicked and them that do wickedly. And the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. Just like you saw the earthquake in Turkey. The earth wants these people dead. It's tired of the oppression. Everything is in oppression under these devils, right? The trees, the animals, the wildlife, everything's crossbred. They fucking crossbred all the seeds. You know, you can't just get a certain kind of seed. It's all been GMO'd or processed or pasteurized or some shit. They infected it somehow. So the whole earth is grieving. The whole earth is mourning. All right, including the elect of Israel. All right, and Yahweh Shai, he's coming to judge, man. That's what's going to happen. That's how it's going to happen. Yahweh Shai is going to come and people are going to die. Revelation 19, verse 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, which he's given power, all right? And he's coming on that chariot, the so-called UFO, with the armies of heaven following him. And he that sat upon him was called faithful and true. And in righteousness he does judge and make war. So he's going to kill the wicked and them that do wickedly. Malachi 4, verse 1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, the so-called Caucasians, yea, and all that do wickedly, all that agree with them, they're in their system, shall be stubble. And the day of Yahweh, and the day that cometh, shall burn them up, saith Yahweh of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. So he's going to kill everything. He's going to kill your whole family, your kids, your parents, your loved ones. All right, he's going to destroy them all. But us, he's going to deliver us, is what we're hoping for, which he's promised us. Jeremiah 30, it says in verse 7, it says, verse 10, therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob. And how are we serving him? We're doing his work. We're prophesying. We're sighing and crying, warning the Israelites of the judgment to come so that they might repent and be saved. Right? We're prophesying of his return, which condemns the heathen. All right? It says, saith Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar and thy seed. So he's going to save us and our children, but he's going to destroy the wicked and their children and them that do wickedly. It says, and thy seed from the land of their captivity, and Jacob shall return and shall be in rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. See? And then that's when Zechariah 8 comes into play. Okay? It says, verse 5, and the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets thereof. All right? Which you can't do today because you got fucking perverts running around. It says, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, if it be marvelous in the eyes of the remnant of this people, in these days, it should also be marvelous in mine eyes, saith the Lord. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, behold, I will save my people from the east country, from China, from Japan, from Philippines, from all those islands and countries that are east, and from the west country, from America, from Canada, from Mexico, from Brazil, from South America, from the islands. So he's going to gather us from all over the world to save us. And I will bring them, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. He's going to put us back in our promised land. All right? And we're going to have the heathen as our slaves. And they shall be my people, and I will be their power in truth and in righteousness. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, let your hands be strong, ye that hear in these days these words by the mouth of the prophets. And the Lord has his prophets, starting with the apostles, the elders, the bishops, the ministers, the teachers, which are of great millstone. All right? Pushing the truth, the prophecy of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, which includes the mark of the beast, which is the implantable microchip, which they're going to make mandatory for buying and selling soon. And it is an abomination. It is a condemnation to an Israelite to take that device. All right? The Lord will punish you. You will not be rewarded. You will be punished. All right? But the ones that stand so stiffly for the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, they're going to be rewarded that hear the words of the prophet. It says, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, let your hands be strong, ye that hear in these days these words by the mouth of the prophets. See, in these last days, you're going to be rewarded salvation, which were in the day that the foundation of the house of Yahweh of hosts was laid, because this has been all preordained since the beginning, that the temple might be built. For before these days there was no hire for men, nor any hire for beasts, neither was there any peace to him that went out or came in because of the affliction. For I set all men, every one against his neighbor. But now, right, because we're living in a very dangerous, perilous times, it says, but now I will not be unto the residue of this people as in the former days, saith Yahweh of hosts. For the seed shall be prosperous, the vine shall give her fruit, and the ground shall give her increase, and the heavens shall give their dew. And I will cause the remnant of this people to possess all these things. Because the wicked are doing wickedly, so they forfeit their spot. But the throne is established by righteousness. So the remnant is about to be established as the ruling class of this world and of all the resources, including the human resource. All right, the other nations, we're going to actually control everything under Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, which is in righteousness. All praises and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Ha Rakah Kodash, double honors unto our apostles and elders, which taught us the truth, which rule great millstone while, and shalom unto the elect. May you endure unto the end. Wa Abba Ball.